Welcome to the deep dive. Right now, there is a ghost in your closet.
Oh, yeah, an incredibly beautiful, expensive ghost.
Exactly. And you know the exact one I'm talking about. Open your closet in your mind's eye, look up on that top shelf or maybe, tucked away in some dark corner, and there it sits inside a little dust bag.
Right, just gathering actual dust.
Yeah, a designer handbag or maybe a vintage leather briefcase. Something that carries immense sentimental weight or just, a really hefty original price tag.
Absolutely.
But it's sitting in the dark because you're afraid to use it. It has a scratch, the shape is sort of sagging, the color looks exhausted, and so it's just been officially retired to haunt your wardrobe.
Which is such a shame because, we treat these items as if they have this absolute expiration date. The moment they show the friction of real life, we assume their timeline is just, it's over.
Right, like it's ruined forever.
Exactly. And that represents a massive misunderstanding of what these materials actually are and, frankly, what they're capable of withstanding.
And that misunderstanding is exactly what we are dismantling today. Our mission here is to shortcut your path to becoming a highly savvy, sustainable fashion owner.
Yes, and we have some great material to pull from for this.
We really do. We're pulling from two phenomenal sources. First, we've got a deeply technical roadmap from the fashion brand Apparelizer, and that's titled Leather Restoration, Bringing Your Old Handbags Back to Life.
Which is incredibly detailed.
Super detailed. And to give that technical manual a sort of philosophical backbone, we're combining it with insights from an elegant after 60 breakdown on how French women curate and maintain timeless wardrobes.
Right, because we're really looking at the intersection of material science and personal philosophy here. Understanding how to chemically reconstruct an accessory is, well, it's only half the battle.
And the other half?
The other half is understanding the mindset of why preserving what you already own is just the sharpest move you can make in modern fashion.
Okay, let's unpack this. I think we need to look at the material science first. Because before we can talk about saving this metaphorical closet ghost, we really have to understand what killed it in the first place.
Knowing the enemy.
Right. We tend to view leather as this impenetrable armor, but it's fundamentally a natural, organic material. I mean, it's skin.
Literally just skin.
Yeah, and when we look at the anatomy of wear and tear, daily friction is obvious. You bump into a door frame, you get a scuff, but sunlight exposure seems to be a silent, massive destroyer.
Oh, sunlight is catastrophic if the material is unprotected. During the tanning process, leather is infused with specific oils and waxes. They're called fat liquors.
Wait, fat liquors?
Yeah, fat liquors, an industry term.
Yeah.
And these coat the internal collagen fibers of the hide, allowing those fibers to slide past one another smoothly every single time the bag bends or flexes.
Okay, so it keeps it flexible.
Exactly. So when you leave a bag in direct sunlight, say, on the passenger seat of a car during summer, the UV light causes a chemical reaction called photooxidation. The photons literally break down and evaporate those specific lubricating fats.
Wow, so the fibers just dry out completely.
Yeah, and without that lubrication, the collagen fibers start grinding against each other instead of sliding. Eventually, under the stress of just normal movement, those brittle fibers just snap.
Oh, yikes.
And that microscopic snap is what registers to our eyes as a crack on the surface of the leather. And once the structural fiber snaps, you're dealing with permanent damage. That goes way beyond just simple surface fading.
Okay, I have to push back here for a second because this brings up a very practical question for me.
Sure, go ahead.
If leather is quite literally just skin, right? And the goal is to keep it moisturized so the fibers don't snap. Why can't I just use my own expensive body lotion or face cream on a dried out back? I mean, skin is skin. Why do I need a specialized leather conditioner?
It is such a tempting shortcut, and people try it all the time. But living skin and tanned hide operate under completely different biological and chemical rules.
Oh, really? Because I would have thought moisture is just moisture.
Not quite. Living skin has an active vascular system, right? It regenerates cells, and it's designed to absorb water-based moisturizers. But tanned leather is preserved. Dead collagen.
Right, it's no longer living tissue.
Exactly. And body lotions are heavily water-based. Plus, they're packed with synthetic fragrances and mineral oils. If you apply body lotion to a leather bag, the water content can alter the pH of the leather and actually encourage rot.
Wait, rot? That's terrifying.
Yeah, and those mineral oils don't penetrate the dense collagen matrix properly. They just sort of sit on the surface, creating this sticky residue that acts like a massive magnet for dirt and pollution.
So you are basically suffocating the leather while simultaneously turning it into a dust trap.
Precisely. You need a specialized leather conditioner because those are formulated with specific natural lipids like neatsfoot oil or beeswax that are designed to mimic the original fat liquors from the tannery.
Okay, that makes total sense. They penetrate deep into the fibers without leaving a tacky surface or messing with the chemical stability of the material.
You've got it.
And speaking of chemical stability, moisture is the other major enemy here. A spilled coffee or, getting caught in the rain doesn't just leave a water stain.
Oh, it's much worse than a stain.
Right, because organic material plus ambient moisture, sealed inside a dark closet, creates the perfect biological breeding ground for mold spores, which will literally eat the organic fibers of the bag.
It's a nightmare scenario.
Right.
And this is where that French wardrobe philosophy really shifts our perspective. Because fast fashion trains us to be passive consumers.
Oh, completely. We buy something cheap, wear it until it breaks, and just throw it away.
Right. But the French concept of curation demands that you become a caretaker. If you're investing in a high-quality piece that's meant to last decades, understanding these environmental enemies is crucial.
So like the UV oxidation, improper pH from lotions, the mold-inducing moisture.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Managing those risks is the baseline responsibility of owning the object. You're basically maintaining an ecosystem,
That shifts the narrative entirely. You aren't just an owner, you are a caretaker.
which is a very empowering way to look at it.
It really is. So how do we actively caretake? Let's talk about the triage process, because there is a massive difference between everyday at-home maintenance and needing to send your bag in for professional surgery.
A huge difference.
And at home, we're talking about like dusting with dry, soft cloths and applying that proper leather conditioner every few months, right?
Yeah, the at-home maintenance is really all about prevention. It's primarily maintaining that moisture barrier we discussed. The single biggest mistake people make at home, though, is using household cleaning products.
Oh, like Windex. People use Windex on leather.
Oh, all the time. Or Clorox wipes. Using a glass cleaner or an abrasive household wipe on a leather bag is the equivalent of using harsh rubbing alcohol to wash your face.
Ouch. Yeah, that sounds terrible.
It might strip away the surface dirt, sure, but it completely annihilates the protective finishes and the moisture barrier. It virtually guarantees the leather will dry out and crack shortly after.
Which brings us to the professional intervention. When does a quick conditioning session fail, and when are we looking at actual red flags that require a specialist?
Well, there are definite signs.
Because it sounds like attempting a deep fix at home could turn a minor scuff into a total disaster.
It absolutely can. The red flags you want to look for are structural and chemical. If the color has faded to the point where a conditioner simply absorbs but leaves the leather looking chalky, the actual dye layer has been compromised.
Okay, so conditioning won't bring the color back.
Right. Also, deep scratches. If you can feel a scratch catching on your fingernail, that means the top grain of the leather has been pierced. And loose stitching is a major structural failure.
I'm assuming you shouldn't just grab some super glue for that.
Never attempt to fix that with household superglue. The chemicals in the glue will literally melt the surrounding leather. And finally, if there's a fundamental loss of the bag's silhouette, it means the internal structural reinforcements have warped or degraded.
The professional techniques used to fix those issues are absolutely fascinating to me. It really is surgical.
What's fascinating here is the sheer level of reconstruction possible. They're acting as material engineers.
Yeah, take a deep scratch, for example. I always assumed a cobbler or a restorer just like painted over the scratch to hide it. But the actual mechanics of what they do to rebuild the leather is wild.
For a deep gouge, painting over it does nothing because the surface is no longer level. Professionals use specialized heavy-duty leather resins.
Oh, so they actually seal the gap.
Exactly. And these resins have to walk this microscopic tightrope. They must be liquid enough to seep into the torn collagen fibers in the edge of the scratch, so they bond chemically with the leather.
That's incredible.
But once they cure, they have to be strong enough to hold the tear together, while remaining flexible enough to bend every single time the bag is opened or closed.
And then they have to sand that cured resin down to micrometer precision so the texture matches the surrounding skin, right?
Right.
And that's before they even touch the color?
Oh, the color matching is its own distinct science. Cheap repairs will use heavy acrylic paints that just sit on top of the leather. That creates this plastic-like shell that will inevitably crack.
But high-end restorers do it differently.
Very differently. High-end restorers use aniline dyes that penetrate the pores of the leather, or highly flexible pigmented finishes designed to mimic the exact chemical makeup of the tannery's original top coat.
Wow.
They are literally custom mixing pigments drop by drop to perfectly match the tone of, say, a 10-year-old sun-faded burgundy.
And they aren't just stopping at the leather either. The hardware gets the same level of obsessive treatment. Zippers, metal clasps,
Right,
buckles.
the hardware is crucial.
If a metal is tarnished, they are using micro-abrasives to polish it back to a mirror shine, or they're literally sourcing and replacing the proprietary hardware so the mechanics of the bag work flawlessly. They are treating the bag as an interconnected ecosystem.
Because every element relies on the others. If the stitching is weak, the leather warps. If the hardware is broken, the bag pulls asymmetrically, creating stress points that lead to new cracks. Professional restoration resets the entire structural integrity of the item.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting. This level of artistry and chemical engineering is clearly possible, but it demands a crucial question.
Which is?
Why go through all of this effort and, let's be honest, the considerable expense of hiring an artisan when you could just log online and buy a shiny new bag?
Ah, that's the big question.
Because this is where the conversation pivots from the mechanics of repair to the deeper philosophy of preservation.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, the dopamine hit of purchasing something brand new is incredibly powerful, right?
Yeah, but it's fleeting.
Very fleeting. You're over it in a week. The Apparelizer insights point to a much deeper satisfaction found in preservation, and it really starts with a stark economic reality. The retail price of new luxury goods has just skyrocketed over the last few years.
Oh, it's out of control.
By restoring a bag you already own, you protect the capital you've already invested. You are yielding a return on your initial investment, rather than taking a total loss and starting over.
And beyond the personal wallet, there is the massive, unavoidable environmental footprint of the fashion industry to consider.
Absolutely. The manufacturing of new leather goods is incredibly resource-intensive. It requires staggering amounts of water just to raise the cattle and process the hides.
Not to mention the chemicals.
Exactly. Heavy chemicals, often chromium salts, during the tanning process. And then factor in the carbon emissions of global transportation. Every single time you choose to restore an existing bag, you are actively bypassing that entire global supply chain.
You are keeping complex materials out of a landfill. It's a quiet, incredibly effective rebellion against throwaway culture.
It really is.
And this loops perfectly back to the French mindset. A curated wardrobe isn't just about having fewer items. It's about having items that carry a legacy.
Which is such a beautiful concept.
Right. When you carry a bag for a decade, it absorbs your life. It goes with you to the job interview that changed your career. It travels with you across the world. It develops a patina that is uniquely mapped to how your hands hold it.
And buying a new bag erases all of that history. Restoring a bag honors the sentimental value. You are maintaining a relationship with an object that has served you well. It fundamentally shifts your identity from someone who consumes trends to someone who appreciates enduring craftsmanship.
So assuming someone listening right now is completely on board, they've pulled their faded, scratched-up designer bag down from the top shelf, and they're ready to hire a professional to perform this resin-filling, color-matching magic.
Okay, yes.
How do you actually vet a restorer? Because handing over a cherished, highly valuable asset feels incredibly intimidating.
No, it should feel intimidating. The vetting process is the most critical step of this entire journey.
I was reading through the criteria, and it hit me that choosing a leather restorer is exactly like choosing a cosmetic surgeon or like a tattoo artist.
That is a brilliant comparison.
Right. You would never just walk into the first clinic or shop you see on the street and say, sure, just start cutting or just start inking. You demand to see the proof of their artistry because a bad job is going to leave a permanent scar.
And the stakes are incredibly similar for luxury goods. A professional might be excellent at resoling heavy work boots, but that does not mean they understand the delicate tension required to fix the handle of a luxury tote.
Because they're built differently.
Exactly. Luxury brands use highly proprietary construction methods. A high-end restorer understands the specific saddle stitches used by certain French houses, or the unique metal alloys used in specific Italian hardware. You have to look for a service that explicitly specializes in luxury leather goods.
Which means demanding to see their portfolio.
You need to see extensive before and after documentation. You are looking for a bag that suffered the exact same trauma yours did, a severe water stain, a shredded corner, and you need to see the visual proof that they seamlessly integrated the repair.
You also have to dig into the materials they're using, which goes back to our earlier point about the chemistry.